the emails this week. By the way, a lot of you have been emailing me. As you see, I get right back to you, I help you, I try to network you with other people, and try to solve your problems, you know. Kayla came to me this week with her emails after her presentation, and I've introduced her to a few people that I think could be quite helpful, that will be in her box business, in the ethnic business, so, you know, use my network, okay? Eric emailed me this week, I tried to help him out a little bit, you know. How many of you heard of the Magna Center? Okay, use that Magna Center. They're there for one reason. George Magna, you know, who went to Brooklyn College, donated millions of dollars to build the Magna Center. And that's specifically to find internships and jobs for you, you know, both during and after you leave. So the more you get familiar with them, and Mike Sarro, who I turned a lot of you on to, he's going to come into the class one of these days and talk to them. He's one of the guys that run the Magna Center. So if you're looking for work, you're looking for internships, one of the great things that Brooklyn College alumni did to give back, okay? Some people come back in the way of an entrepreneur program. Other guys give back by giving you jobs, internships in their companies, okay? And some of these guys went on to found major companies, major agencies, and Magna gets first crack at those jobs, especially in business, finance. A guy named Marty Sass, anybody work for Marty yet? Okay, he gives out lots of internships. He has a huge financial place in Manhattan, and very good to Brooklyn College. Okay, go on.
I would say my strength is creativity, because I'm really good at creating flyers and graphic. I'm basically good at art, like stuff that's related to art. And I would say my weakness is that I'm an introvert and I'm really shy.
Okay, well, we can get over that, you know. We had a woman who taught a class here, introvert, business for introverts. And she actually came to class, and she was an introvert herself. Nancy Ankowitz is her name. You should write that down. And she's on one of the guest speakers. She's, a lot of people introverts. Doesn't mean you can't be a great entrepreneur. Maria.
So for me, I think my biggest strength is being optimistic and providing positive thoughts with certain ideas. And so my weakness would be impatient, being really impatient.
Really? Okay. Patience, you need to be patient in business. It's slow moving, you know? It's slow moving terms, you know, that happen. So you'll learn to be a little bit more patient. Okay, we have a very busy class today, so I'd like to jump in before we have the student speakers, and then you get to hear our wonderful guest speaker. We want to talk about the business plan in today's chapter of the Young Entrepreneur Series. Okay, so that's a chapter on business plans. Very important, like they said. That's the roadmap. It helps you figure out your business, what it's going to be, by forcing you to write it down. If you're not going to write it down, you're not going to be prepared for things that could happen. Okie doke. So our first student speaker today, where we're going to hear their new business they're going to introduce, is Cody Mangano. Let's hear it for Cody.
Okay, so my idea is a company that I started by myself with a couple of friends called Bright Page Media. And basically our goal is to bring digital advertising to like smaller companies. If you've noticed that a lot of small companies, you know, are not really ran by people around our age. It's all people that weren't really born in the social media generation. So our goal is to kind of not only take them into it, but further develop them along. Some of them do have websites, some of them have Twitters, but they don't really know what they're doing with it. So our goal is to bring them into not only social media, but websites, email, and that's our mission statement there. Strive to be the go-to place for businesses to upgrade their digital advertising potential. We want to supply fresh hardware and minds to make sure your business digital presence is strong, engaging, and unique. And again, you don't really see companies that are really doing this, because the bigger, like, you know, pizzerias, stuff like that, they don't really have a digital presence, because there's Domino's who has Twitter and a website, there's Pizza Hut, so they can't really get out there and press their ideas forward. This is just like a sample of how much digital advertising has come throughout the years. Everybody has a computer, everybody has a phone now, and $72 billion was spent in digital advertising last year. So you really see how much this is an industry that's moving forward and is going to be essential for companies to keep moving forward themselves. And this is how we plan on like attacking each aspect of this. So we have like one guy who's within social media itself, then another guy who's doing the website. I would be doing the writing part. Then we have another guy who's doing Google. So we have a bunch of guys that are in there doing different stuff, and the goal is to really bring everything together to make each company more accessible online.
Okay, let's back up one second. How many of you like this idea? Okay, so it looks like you got a lot of fans here in the classroom. So talk a little bit about how some of these things actually get executed. So talk pizzeria is a good one, right? Because the local pizza place, will send out specials, do coupons and mail, and probably don't have really the knowledge or the wherewithal to do like a social
Can I
media.
actually talk about one that we're in the
Yes,
process of working on?
absolutely.
We're doing a daycare center right now,
Okay.
and they're like highly successful, but they don't have really any type of social media presence. So like with Google, we have our photographers going in. He's gonna do like a live tour. This way, like you can really give an experience to someone. And then I would be rewriting the website. 'Cause, I mean, it's good, but it's not where it could be. Then we have our other guy who's working on a Twitter for them. So we're really trying to bring them into each aspect, but to make each one its own entity that could be presented to a customer.
So what do you think about a daycare type of operation? You have any ideas, Cody, on how to make this website a little bit better? I mean, I'll start with the first one. If I had my kids in there, I'd probably want to tune in on a camera and see how they're doing during the day, whether it be an app or something else, so I could tune in on their little playtime and see how my kid was doing. What other ideas?
I would say try to find like an app developer, just to try to offer that service if they want it.
Most people don't know anything about apps. I mean, I'm asked that question probably more than any other question. How do I build an app? Do you know, Professor, do you know somebody who could build me an app? Everything's about the app today. But if you go into Google or the Apple Store, it's almost impossible to find anything today. You try to look for something and millions of sites come up. You're dealing, Apple and Android both have big problems with fake sites. You talk about fake news. There's fake apps that people are just looking to get your credit card info, and then they shut down. So you talk about being suspect of people. Be suspect a little bit of your apps. That's a great idea. Very good. The other nice thing about what you're doing here is that a lot of the major big companies already have huge departments for social media, publicists and things like that, but the smaller companies do not. So you could probably get some nice scale and do a good job in social media, and especially Facebook allows you to buy localized ads, so you can really focus in a daycare area or a pizza place in your area. So good luck with the business. Any other questions we have? Okay. Okay, we're gonna hear from Maria next.
I don't really have slides to present, but my idea is based on this picnic. So recently I have been talking to people and asked them if they like picnic at all. They said they like it so much, but then there were some problems like bugs on the floor and stuff like that. So then I came up with the idea of indoor picnic. An indoor picnic where people can go enjoy, let's say, picnic during the winter with the setting of a seasonal settings with projections and sounds, like making bird sounds, projection on the roof, and then the business I planned is it's gonna provide snacks, drinks, and desserts. I was planning for 2 things. So free snacks, desserts, and drinks, and then a special snacks, desserts, and drinks for some price. The way the business is gonna make money is by charging half an hour for staying, and also from the special snacks, drinks, or something. It's just optional if customers want to get them. I plan it also with the membership. If they want to sign up for a membership, the good part of the membership is getting a secret menu from the kitchen. So people who are gonna sign for membership, they're gonna get secret menu from the kitchen, and they will have an opportunity to upgrade their membership for a monthly fee, where they can get the special drinks, desserts, and snacks for free also. My target market was around everybody, but then I especially think it will target people from age 15 to 30s. So that's what I have.
Okay. How do you like this idea of an inside picnic? Bless you. How did you come up with this idea? I think it's one of the most unique ideas I've ever heard in all these years. Of somebody coming in from the outside when you have all these fast food, all these Burger King, Panera Bread, and then you walk into like a restaurant and you see like open green spaces, tables, and like, you know, I mean, you could take this thing to like another stratosphere, inside beaches, sand everywhere. I mean, you could take this idea to places she hasn't even thought of. I mean, keeping it cheap and maybe having a barbecue. I mean, people who don't have families don't have barbecues. There's a lot of lonely people. A lot of people have no families. You walk in and here now you have a whole family of picnickers on the streets. I mean, I think it's an unbelievably phenomenal idea. I mean, you could pull this off, you know, in smaller areas, even around Brooklyn College, you know, cheap type of food, $10 to get in, half hour, go to the barbecue, hamburgers, hot dogs, friendly people, you know, birds chirping, like you said. Right on, I like that. Okie doke, done. Okay, 2 very interesting business models today. Okay, today I'm happy to say we have our first guest speaker. Michael is somebody that I've known for about 15, maybe 20 years since I went to his bar mitzvah. And his dad has been an old-time friend of mine. I know his dad, Stephen Gelliff, over 30 years. One of the titanics of the publishing industry. Both his dad and his grandfather, and some well-known names that I'm sure that he'll talk about. And met Mike when he graduated college, and he was in a whole different business and a whole different industry altogether. So when his dad told me what he was doing, I was quite surprised, very happy for him, and even more so when he agreed to come talk to the class today. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce everybody to Michael Gelliff.
Okay. So when you guys were talking, I really did think about that. And so much of being an entrepreneur is being kind of on a tightrope by yourself with no safety net, which I'll talk about. But a lot of it is collaboration and being on a team. And sometimes it depends, you know, the team that you build around you, it's like any sport, any business, the team you build around you is a lot of what can make or break you. So what I want to do today is we're going to talk about a lot of business stuff, but I'm going to take you through a little bit about my journey, how I got to doing what I'm doing right now, because I have gone through a lot of different areas, done some really different things, and gotten to a place where I'm very happy with what I'm doing. It's successful, and now I'm starting a new phase in my business. I'm running a business plan right now, so it's really relevant to what we're going to talk about today. So just quickly, me. Went to high school, went to college. I was a Spanish major in college. I am not a Spanish teacher, but I'm fluent in Spanish, which is coming in handy in some aspects of my career. Right after college, I went and I moved down to Atlanta. I actually was business partners with a guy named Scooter Braun. He's Justin Bieber's manager. He was one of the first investors in Uber. He's become a very successful guy. Our business partnership didn't work out, but I was running a studio. I was dealing with talent. I was the vice president of the record label at 22 years old. It was an amazing experience. Totally changed the course of the beginning part of my professional career. I started doing big celebrity events. So I did the NBA All-Star Game events in Atlanta in '03. I did the NBA All-Star Game event after party at the Playboy Mansion in 2004 in Los Angeles. Shaquille O'Neal hosted it. Did a lot of really cool stuff. Was running around, doing a lot of interesting things. After that, kind of started moving more towards, this is actually right around when I not met Ted, but saw Ted last. Started an event company. Started doing events for some of the celebrities I met, like I did Terrell Owens' birthday party, I did stuff with Missy Elliott, I did a bunch of different people, mostly rappers, athletes. Never loved what I was doing, right? So I was kind of moving along this thing, figuring it out, making some money, but knew it wasn't my passion. Started doing more high-end events for like De Beers and Ferrari and everything, designing the event, handling the sponsors, handling the food, really immersing myself in that process. And all these things, the reason I put these here is not at all what I'm doing now, but all of those experiences, number one, I failed at a lot of these things, all right? So when you're going through this stuff, and I watched a couple of you guys present ideas, you know, failure is what builds you as an individual and as a professional. I highly doubt that there are people in your generation that have an idea and are billionaires when they're 23. You can also win the lottery, right? So not to say that can't happen to you, but you're gonna face setbacks, you're gonna face adversity, is what is going to define you as a person and as a professional. So that's really important to understand as we talk about this, because I failed at a lot. As I got a little bit older, I started doing more of the event management. I worked with my dad and my mom for a while. They had a media buying and planning agency, so I got to see some things from a different perspective. When I was 29 years old, I quit. And I had all this corporate experience, I did all these cool things, and I just knew that what I was doing was not what I wanted to be doing anymore. So I spent 4 months living in the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, in Africa. I was helping to build a photographic safari camp. I'm going to show you some slides from Africa, because I got to show you some slides from Africa. And I did that primarily because I had reached this threshold where I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it wasn't going to be found under fluorescent lights in an office. So I quit. And when I came home, I started my current business, which is called Mike's Organic Delivery, which I will tell you guys a little bit about. So that's me on a tractor. So I was in the Kalahari Desert. I was building a photographic safari camp, myself and 3 Zimbabwean guys, Colin, Langton, and Robert. We were out there digging trenches and driving tractors and building tents. I had to hunt for all of our food. I'm a big bow hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman. I'm a little bit of a different guy. So this was all the food I had for my 4-month stay in the Kalahari. It was all the food that we bought. It was all kind of stuff, and the way I got the idea for my current business, which is connecting small local farmers to consumers in their home, and there's a next stage of that business, which I'll discuss with you guys today, was I went to a supermarket in Mound, Botswana, which is 100,000 people, and all the food in that supermarket looked better than here. And I couldn't understand, kind of like typical arrogant American, right? Like, we're the best at everything. And I looked around and I realized, not this. And I couldn't really get it, but I bought a lot of this food, and I bought some tomatoes, and they were small, and you cut the tomato and juice was all over the plate, and I was like, this is not what we get at home. I started thinking about it. Went into the bush, had this, that's a kudu. It's one of the largest antelope in Africa, weighs about 600 pounds. It's kind of like the size of an elk. These really cool corkscrew horns, big ears. Desert animals have big ears. Keep themselves cool when it's hot. Also to hear predators. That's an African porcupine. They live on the ground, and like they're much quicker than ours. And I had like a camera I set up. I took these pictures, and he saw the camera and didn't like it very much, so we went and did that to it. That's a leopard, and female leopard, and it's really cool. You can tell a leopard by its spot configuration. They're all different. It's like a fingerprint. So we knew that this female was this particular one. She was around camp. I got charged by a leopard. I almost got bitten by a cobra. I was in a plane that lost an engine during this trip, and it led me into what I'm doing now. This is a little antelope that she would have been eating, and that's the sunrise on my last day. So I had this amazing trip, and what it did for me personally was it focused all. I hear people here talking about focus, either too much focus, lack of focus, and Saf and I spoke about it before we got to class, but you know, sometimes just decompressing a little bit and unplugging your phone, turning the TV off. You know, I meditate, I try to meditate if I can every morning, which is just like sitting in silence by myself and just thinking, helps you. I've had my best ideas when I have been not in an office, right? And you guys may be similar, may be different. So I came home, I knew I wanted to do something outside. I love food, I love cooking, love gardening. So I decided I would start a business called Mike's Organic Delivery. And what that business is we work with all these small local farms. Every Monday we go to all the farms. We pick up all kinds of great stuff. Fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, yogurt, granola, honey, eggs, everything. We bring it back to our warehouse and then we deliver it to people in their homes. So the business started off the idea that there was a gap in the market, that people were demanding fresh local food. They weren't able to get it, organic food. They weren't able to get it, and that system was very disjointed, right? You could only get it here on this day, you couldn't get it certainly in your home. So I started the business with my Nissan Pathfinder. I moved home. I was a 30-year-old single guy living at home, all right, which is no one's dream. And I basically started the business just off of an idea, and there was nothing like that at the time. When I started the business in 2009, there were less than 20 companies of that kind in America. There's now almost 2,000. So that area has really grown. I'm just going to show you a few pictures of the farm just because it's cool to see like where we get our food and what it's all about. That's me with a basket of fruits and veggies. That was when I started. I was much better looking then. So just quickly, like the type of farmers that we support, right? And you guys hear the word organic a lot. Just so you know, I saw 70 billion roughly was digital marketing, right? That was that market. So we spend $680 billion a year on groceries in the US, okay? Of that 680, 44 billion is currently organic. That is up $5 billion from the year before. If you guys are looking to get into areas, this area, don't do what I'm doing. This area is going to be an area where you're going to see exponential growth, and it probably will not stop up to a point. The whole market won't be organic. All food won't be for a number of reasons, but that 44 billion is going to be 100 or 150 billion in 5, 10, 15 years, right? So it's a growing market. And I recognize that. So the types of farms we're working with, you don't have to look at this too much, but people that do things, I hate to use the term the right way, but they're not using chemicals, they're treating their workers well, they're treating their animals well if they raise animals, they're protecting the soil, the earth, because if we destroy our planet, none of us have food. Like without good soil, we got no air, no water, no food. Because the trees give us air, the water we drink, and the food comes from the dirt. So they do a really good job with that. And I really saw people out that do these things. These are some pictures from the farms. Juan and Miguel, two guys I've become really friendly with. They're planting like little baby lettuce seedlings. You can see them. Can we kill the light or not? They're planting these little seedlings behind a tractor. They have these cool chairs, like, so it's comfortable. And after like 6 weeks, that's all the lettuce. I work with one of the biggest certified organic farms in the state of New York, but they're still small compared to what we're doing out there. Just a big field of all zucchini plants, little baby cherry tomato plants. Those go in May. Those are all the different cherry tomatoes you get. Heirloom tomatoes. You guys hear heirloom maybe? Heirloom means something that's been around for 100 years. So it's a variety of fruit or vegetable that has been around for 100 years unchanged, not modified, not cross-pollinated, nothing like that. I just had to show off. Slice some heirloom tomatoes, hot peppers, broccoli. Anyone know what that is? It's called rainbow Swiss chard. And you'll see it in some restaurants, kind of fancy. It's not my favorite. That's me in a gigantic horse. That horse was 7.5 feet tall and weighed over 2,000 pounds. They used that horse to do all the work on the farm. These are just some pictures of some of the animals, and I want to show you just the difference because the change in the food system is why I started doing this. These are happy, healthy cows out on a farm, under a tree, on the grass, which a lot of the animals are not on. These are the chickens that lay the eggs. Same type of thing. Happy, healthy, out there doing their thing. This is not how we raise the overwhelming majority of our food in this country. This is the absolute minority. That's like the eggs in the egg box. So eggs don't have to be refrigerated. When in Africa, in fact, if I show you that slide, they were out. When the hen lays an egg, she puts a protective coating on it. In this country, because they're coming from huge egg farms, they're covered in a lot of stuff you don't want to eat. They wash them and scrub them. They then have to paint them with a chemical. Otherwise, they will have bacteria because a damp surface has bacteria. And then you have to refrigerate. So if you go to Europe, you will not see eggs in the fridge. Anywhere here you go, you will see eggs in the fridge. These are the dairy goats we get a lot of our cheese from. These two in the front are kind of like fighting. Being like, I want to go first, I'm going to go first. One of my favorite pictures I've ever taken, you see the grass in that ewe's mouth. You know, an animal like that makes a completely different product than an animal locked in a barn. And that's one of the things I've learned throughout all of this. Those are baby goats, they're called kids. Just hanging out. This is making cheese. All this goat's milk goes into this big steel vat and they put rennet in it. Rennet is actually something that's found in the stomach of a young animal, of a calf or a kid. And they do a vegetable rennet they'll use sometimes. They put the rennet in and it coagulates. If anyone's ever had like whey protein, the whey is the liquid they pour off when they make cheese. The curds are what the actual cheese is. The whey is the liquid. Put the curds in a mold, they add a bacteria, flip it, spin it, and after you age it, you've got awesome cheese. That's me being an idiot in front of a bunch of Thanksgiving turkeys. And this is, real quickly, and then we'll get into more of the business stuff, this is how we do raise most of our food. So this is a feedlot. This would be down in Texas. The farm I showed you had 100 cows on 250 acres of pasture. A feedlot will have 70,000 cows on 700 acres of pasture. So you're talking about intensive farming practices, which is the overwhelming majority of the way that we grow our food now. These cows are going to be given antibiotics, going to be given hormones. They are, you can see not one blade of grass anywhere. They're standing in cow poop up to their knees. It's a really bad way for the animals to live. It's bad for the environment. It's unfortunately bad for us, which is one of the aspects. These are free-range chickens. So not even like cage chicken. If you bought free-range chicken, this is them. 50,000 chickens in a barn, no windows, no natural light. They keep it at twilight all day so the chickens just keep eating, because in nature they'll eat more at dawn and dusk. And you can see they literally can't move. So that's a free-range chicken. There's actually worse than that, and that's an overhead of that feedlot down in Texas, right? So I saw all this stuff, and I've learned throughout this process, I've learned a lot, but I saw all this. And I recognized that not only did I think there was a great business opportunity, but that this was going to be the future of the way that we ate. And it was ahead of its time a little bit when I started. So I incorporated in January of 2009. I'm an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. You know, there's different ways you can file, S Corp, all different things. I was an LLC. I started it out of my parents' house, and I did it out of my Pathfinder, which I mentioned. We had 9 deliveries I had 9 deliveries my first week, and I did everything. I picked up the food, I delivered the food, I dealt with the customers. As scary as that whole thing was, I handled the website. In other words, I really had to do every single thing myself, and the tactic I took to grow my business may very well be different than what you guys plan to do, right? I didn't get any funding. I didn't have any investors. I started with 20 grand that I made bartending and doing construction and a bunch of other stuff, right? But I started it because I thought there was a potential there. Our first year of business, we did $100,000 in sales. This past year, we did $1.1 million in sales. And that's over 8 years. That's really slow, steady growth. I didn't take investors on. I did this. I have people that work with me now, and we have a team of probably 6 or 7 people. But we have been able to grow a very successful, profitable business that affects positive social change. And that's something that I think should be, whenever you guys think of ideas for businesses, giving back to the community, being part of that is all of our responsibility, right? Being successful is good, making money is good, all that, but you really want to try and do something where you can help affect positive change. So after all this, a successful business, right? Quote unquote successful business. Now I'm going to be opening a retail location. Okay, so I've taken this concept, which has been, when I was looking at those 5 questions, those are really good. If you guys took pics of those, look at them. They really are. And I was like, yep, we got that, we got that, we got that. So we have a differentiated service. We're going to create a retail location, which is unlike anything that exists. Experiential, you walk in and there's TV screens showing the farmer talking about where the cows are from. There's a donut machine with hot donuts coming, apple cider, hot chocolate, butcher counter, fish counter, produce, pantry, a cafe, a demo kitchen, do cooking classes, all these different things, right? And what I have witnessed in the market and what is going on in the retail grocery market right now is you are seeing a trend away from big box locations, like, you know, let's say Whole Foods, right? And more towards a smaller footprint, a better experience, an integrated sales platform. So the store that I'm creating, every single thing that the store has, Mike's Organic Delivery will deliver to your home, okay? And we have an established customer base of thousands of people. So the idea was, after all this work and putting this time in and creating a brand that had authenticity, that people knew, trusted, to now spin that forward and create a retail location, because that allows us, hopefully, to achieve scale that we could not have just with a delivery business. So I'm writing a business plan right now, and that's called the bricks and clicks model, right? Bricks and clicks is what Amazon's doing. Amazon is the most successful online retailer in the world. You mentioned Jeff Bezos. Why are they opening stores? Because they understand the value of multiple channels of sale, of surrounding the customer. That even when you're on your computer, Amazon's got you, but what about when you're not on your computer or your phone? You're out, right? But now they've got you at a store. They're actually gonna have grocery stores. So bricks and clicks model, that is the trend of the grocery industry. So it's what we're going to try and create. I'm working on my business plan now. I'm about 85% done. And I'm going to be going out, and the other thing that one of the gentlemen said there, which is really, really good advice, he's right. There's a business plan you write to raise money, and there's a business plan you write to run your business, right, for yourself. Those are different. And I'm currently writing one to raise money, but I'm also concurrently writing one to run the business, because it's a different business than I'm in. I'm going to surround myself with really good talent. And one of the things that I would tell you guys is never be afraid of talented people. Surround yourself with as many talented people, and you have to be secure enough in your own abilities, but never be afraid to, you know, if you're on a whatever, I played, you know, baseball in college, and I wanted to have the best team I could around me, not to be the only good one, because then we're gonna lose every game, right? So surround yourself with good talent. And I'm getting into a different phase. When you guys start your businesses, once you bring on investors, you're going to have someone else in some way influencing how you run your business, right? I was fortunate enough to do it on my own. I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning. I was working till 8 o'clock at night. I was killing myself, but I loved it. And that's what I'm gonna talk about in the next slide. But once you bring investors in, and you may need to initially, remember that you're going to have someone who's going to be in your business, which is okay. But that is a really important person or company too. I have some really good friends that started an event called CMC, Civilian Military Combine. It was a CrossFit event. And they started themselves. They had some angels. They had great events. They were doing, you know, Camelback, and they had 1,500 people, and they were doing it right. And they had some investors that came in, gave them a few $1 million, and they were the wrong people. They're now completely out of their business, and they have essentially nothing to show for it, right? Now, not to say that that would happen to you, but that partner is as important as anyone you have in your business, right? Because they're the ones that are going to, if they're giving you funding, that are going to be able to either, you know, cut off your lifeline or give you air. Okay. This is like a little cheesy, but read it because it's true. And there's things I'd actually like to change because it is a team. But the first one is this, right? Like, if you feel that you need structure, if you feel that you need infrastructure, if you feel that you need a safety net, being an entrepreneur is probably not the right thing for you. Okay, now you can implement some of those, right? But at the end of the day, guys, if you have an idea, it's gonna be about you, right? Your team, you as your team, you and your team. You're not gonna have, you know, a big company where if I broke my ankle in the first 4 years of my business, I had no business. Now that's not a great way to run your business, but it's gonna come down to you. So you remember that you're gonna own that, right? Be accountable. Something doesn't go right. We had a client that got a delivery the other day, and she's gluten-free, and the guys gave her the wrong cookies, and they had gluten, and she threw up all day. And she called me, and she emailed me, and she said, Mike, you know, this happened, and I wasn't even there at the time. I was doing something else. And I said, I really apologize. Myself, Chris and Mackenzie, the two guys that work for me, we made a mistake. I didn't say those guys made a mistake, right? Because that's disingenuous. If you're the boss, it's nice to be the CEO, right? It's not all kittens and sunshine, right? There's a lot of things that are happening, and the responsibility falls on you. Second thing is that you're going to be at a disadvantage. I thought your idea was great about going to small companies and doing social media and helping them increase their digital footprint. You know, at the end of the day, though, you're going to be competing against, you all will be competing against some very big boys and girls out there. Be smart, make good decisions. Hard work can mask some of the shortcomings that you will have, whether it's financially, experience, or otherwise. And this one I believe greatly. If you don't love what you're doing, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're probably not doing the right thing, okay? It's okay to get into a business because you think you'll make a lot of money, but I have lots of friends that worked at hedge funds that were working 16 hours a day, and after 2 years, done. Couldn't do it anymore, burned out, or doing something different. And you guys are in a different generation, right? Because what a lot of you will walk around thinking about is, what do I want to do? What makes me, feel good or fulfilled, right? But you have to balance that with some other things. So the American dream as it relates to your job is 4 things. It's 3, but I throw a 4th one. I mentioned this to you before. Number 1, something you're good at. Let me take it back. Something you love is number 1. All right? If you could pick, you say, I want to do something I believe in, that I love. Number 2, something you're good at. Something where you feel like you're doing good things. Number 3, something you can make a good living at. Right? So if you combine all those things, something you love, something you're passionate about, something that you're good at, and something that you can make a good living at, you're doing all right. And the last one is something that allows you to give back. And I mentioned that before, but it's everyone's responsibility. I'm not going to tell you all the charity stuff we've done because I don't like to talk about it, but we do as much in our community as we can because I believe it's all of our responsibility. And also, like I mentioned, adversity it's what makes you who you are. I can't tell you the number of things I could that I flopped at. I was 29, I felt like a loser, I was doing everything wrong, and I ended up taking this trip. It changed my life, but if I quit, I would not be standing where I am today. And I think that's one of the biggest things I can try and impart on you is that, it most likely will not be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But if you push through and you persevere, you can end up, even if it's not the initial idea that you had, you can end up in a place where you're doing something great. And that's probably one of the biggest things I would try and leave you with is perseverance and facing adversity head on and not shying away from it and having a good idea.
Okay, so very quickly, this is really shocking to me. How many of you would like to invest your own hard money in Mike's new concept?
You don't have to raise your hand.
So we talked about the picnic idea first. This one is a little bit more sophisticated idea where you're doing everything. I mean, those pictures of the chickens and the bulls all together were shocking. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, it's not something. How many of you have ideas about this? You do? Okay. How many of you just order regular chicken or regular beef from a hamburger place? Probably most of us.
How many chickens do you guys think we ate? We killed and ate in the United States of America last year. If you had to guess.
$500 billion.
How many?
$500 billion.
Less than that, but a lot.
I'd say like $1 billion.
$1 billion? 8 billion.
8 billion chickens.
Okay. So 8 billion chickens in a year, right? You think about Super Bowl and how many chicken wings we serve. They only have 2 wings, right? So you order a dozen wings, that's kind of like a dozen chickens, all right? So the scope and scale of our food system is really hard to believe. You guys are young too, and this is stuff when you guys, as you get older, like I have a little son at home, and I think a lot more about what I'm gonna feed him than I even do myself. But people are starting to think about that. And the concept as far as the retail aspect of what we're doing is very, very well thought out. I believe that we have a significant advantage over our competitors because we have a direct connection to the people that grow the food. We can tell a very unique story. We can offer a differentiated product through the experience there, and we have an integrated sales platform being able to take that online model, and if you can't make it to the store, like Amazon, bring it to you at home. Okay, so that's how that business has been developed, and this has only been probably 3 months I've been working on this next stage, and I'm going to be out raising funds in probably 3 weeks. I'm getting an offering memorandum done with some lawyers. Legal advice is good. It's expensive. Lawyers and doctors are 2 things you should never cut corners on if you can afford to. But I have, we're moving this idea forward very quickly. My goal is to have a store launched by spring of 2018. We're going to have to build out a location and we're going to do a bunch of different stuff. But I have literally clients emailing being like, I heard a rumor that you're opening a store. You know, and that's a good place to be starting. And I could, you know, we could be out of business in 2 years also. That's the risk, but you're going to have to take risks.
All right, where's the location?
So the location, we're based in Stamford, Connecticut. That's where I drove down from today, and we're doing it right on the Stamford-Greenwich border. We're right off I-95. We've got a 6,000 square foot location. We're building it out. We're going to start once I have some money to build it out. And the location is very good. It's like, it's real estate, right? Location, location, location. But location is good, but you've got such an ability to, and then by the way, the other thing, we're gonna have like a farmer on a Saturday bring a sheep to the farm, to the store, and show kids how you shear a sheep and make wool. Or have a farmer bring 20 kinds of apples down and let the kids try 20 different kinds of apples that we grow in the Hudson Valley.
It's called experience shopping.
It's
This
called
is something that's happening right now.
Experience.
You're gonna see it all around.
Yep.
Experience.
You guys are, the Apple store is an experience in some way, right? It's different than any store you go into, right? But what you guys, what your generation, I'll call you guys millennials, are looking for is an in-store experience, right? You maybe will spend a little more, but you want to know why. And you want to have a great experience while you're there. And that's something that I think that we're very uniquely positioned to do. I will tell you that in the country, I'm not saying this because it's me, in the country, there's probably no one that can do this the way that we will do it because of our closeness to the farmers, because of our closeness to the community, and because of the fact that we've been doing a business for 8 years building a customer base. We've got incredible customer support and loyalty. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping I can come back here in 5 years and bring you guys some food from the store. Yeah.
Sure, so we'll take some questions now from the,
Yeah.
from the class.
So I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation. It was unbelievable.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Really inspiring. The question I had was, so it feels like there's things that you have in the woodwork that the business is working on in a year, 2 years, 3 years. But there's also a lot of things that you have to do in the immediate term.
Correct.
In what degree do you separate? And so you're looking at the 3-year period, but what about the 6 month or the 3 month?
It's a
And
great
how do you make
question.
the distinction?
It's a great question, and it speaks to what I said to you before about a team. So I have 2 guys that I hired. I went to high school with one of their sisters. He was 9 when the first time I met him. He's 28 now, and one of his classmates, right? Chris's dad was my music teacher in high school. All right. So I hired these 2 guys. I pay them really well. They have great benefits. They have time off, and I have invested in my people. And when you invest in, it's always investing in people. When you have a business, labor is going to be your biggest cost, most likely, outside of your product. Those guys are now actually pretty much running Mike's Organic Delivery. They both have equity in the company, by the way. They've earned equity in the entire thing, not just the delivery business. And
When he says equity, it means to give shares of his business.
equity means
to
stock,
these people, right?
right? So they both own 1% each of the entire thing. So if this business in 10 years sells for $100 million, Chris and Mackenzie will each get $1 million. They'll get more because I'll do more for them. But I'm relying on them now. That's my team. They're my 2 main guys. And they are running the day-to-day of Mike's Organic because I was able to teach them. Chris and I used to stand in a room smaller than this for 4 hours from 3:30 to 7:30 in the morning, 3 days a week, packing baskets of produce, the one you saw me holding in the beginning, right? So like I was able, and this is actually a really good thing to say, I was able to teach the guys how I do it and how I want them to do it. And as you have a business and it continues to grow, the farther you get away, I sweep floors, I break down boxes, I do deliveries. The farther you get away from your employees, the harder it is to translate your message to them. At this store, the store can't be about me because then I can't scale the business, but I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be involved in the hiring of every single person that works there. And they're gonna understand the way that we do things, right? And it's the right way to do things. But the answer to your question is, as I have taken this on, because this is a separate job, Chris and Mackenzie, the guys that work with me, for me, have taken on more responsibility and have been compensated to do it, but also they've bought it, right? You want to create a cult when you start a company. People that believe in what you're doing. Uber is a cult. Now Uber's facing a lot of stuff right now, but that's because of pretty much Travis Kalani. But you want to
You
create
know
a
what he's
cult.
talking about? Yesterday, the chairman of Uber had an
Two.
incident.
Well, there's a sexual harassment thing that they're dealing with, and then he literally was in the back of an Uber yelling at an Uber driver, and the guy had his dash cam record the whole thing. And it's that's a pretty good example of someone who had an incredible idea that grew explosively. But at the end of the day, I was saying to you, in 3 to 6 months, I'd be surprised if he's the CEO of Uber. I don't think he's the right person to run, that's my opinion, to run the company, but it's his company. But yeah, like in that handout, because I took all of them, like being level-headed, I've never yelled once in 8 years at my, yelling does not, I play football, I mean like I yelled all the time, but yelling at employees is not a successful way of dealing with people. It really is not. Unless they've done something so atrociously wrong that you're planning on firing them, you know, it's not the way that I manage. It's never been successful for me. But you'll have your own style. You might scream and yell at everyone. They have a policy at Uber called, I think it's called, you know, toe stepping, where like they expect you to step on people's toes and challenge their ideas. I work with a hedge fund, the largest hedge fund in the world, and their policy is that you are encouraged to give negative feedback about your coworkers, and it is not anonymous. So you would say, I think that she doesn't work hard enough, and I saw her come into work 20 minutes late today, and she'll know it was you. That's their policy. I think it's crazy, but they're also the largest hedge fund in the world, so it's clearly something's working.
Sure.
So
Could
yeah.
you talk a little bit to the products that you've been selling over the last few years?
Yep.
There's a lot of big interest here in subscriptions and boxes and weekly
Yep.
boxes
It's a
of
good-
the same product or
It's a great-
or, you know, and,
yep, it's a good
and
question.
how if somebody here wanted to start like the Berry of the Month Club.
Yep, sure.
Okay, which we've talked about before.
Yeah,
a
great.
lot of interest in boxes,
Yeah.
subscriptions.
So you
things
guys
like
have seen
that.
like Blue Apron, Plated. Have you seen some of those meal kit services?
Yes.
So the way that when I started the business, the way that I structured it was 2 ways. One, you could sign up for a weekly delivery. So you pick a package, like I want fruits and veggies, I want eggs, I want meat, I want milk. And every week we'll bring it. It changes every week depending upon what they're picking at the farms or what we have. Or you can use the service like you would use Fresh Direct and go on Sunday, pick out exactly what you want, we'll bring it to you on Tuesday or Wednesday. Right? We give you a delivery time. At the moment, you don't pick your delivery window because the way the farmers pick, as the store gets going, we'll probably have in-store same-day delivery.
Is that all done online, by the way?
Everything's not, yeah, I can show you.
Well, can we just
website.
maybe pop up your website
Yeah, sure.
real quick? We got a few extra minutes.
Sure.
So that would be great.
And we're going to be totally redoing the website, but I'll show you the website. I haven't used a PC in so long. Okay, so this is our website, right? Now I've gone through a few iterations of this, and I'd like it to be better. But basically, when you go to the site, you can buy your groceries for the week. What the site's lacking now is information, which is actually we're doing another pass at it. But basically, you'll go through and you'll look at like if you want to look at like different kinds of meat, and every single thing that we have from the farms. As you scroll down, chicken, beef, pork, lamb, turkey, everything's here. And you add it to your cart and you check out. If you want to get like a produce basket from the farms, these are all the different produce baskets that we offer. If you click on it, like this was last week, so they haven't updated yet, but this will be like what the basket from the farms was this week. So it was apples, pears, rainbow carrots, rainbow beets, Swiss chard, which I saw a picture of, baby arugula, onions, and rutabaga. That's what you got. We then send recipes for everything you get in that basket every single week. So if you get rutabagas and have no freaking idea what to do with them, because why would you? We'll tell you how to do that. So we ascribe to the principle that not everyone would want to do a subscription, that people like flexibility, that sometimes you don't know what you want to eat that week, so you could order a la carte, but the majority of our business is full season people. I would say 80% of the business is people that sign up for the season, and they pay up front, which is great from a cash flow standpoint because these packages range from between $1,000 to $2,500, but you're paying for 6 months of food, right? So you're just getting your food every week. It's a big upfront, but then you don't have to worry about food shopping for the most
Do you
part.
have many customers that call in?
Very few.
Very few.
Yeah, very few. But I will tell you that with the daycare center idea, that I think with, you know, when you said like things you want to see, and you said the camera, you know, I want to see like the teachers, like information on the people that are taking care of my kids. You know, like what's their background, what's their experience, like, and making that really So I'm a hunter. I'm a big bow hunter. I've hunted all over the world. And if you're hunting for a deer, you don't put a pile of meat out in the woods, right? You have to think like what you're hunting. So if you're thinking about moms, as far as a daycare center goes, moms and dads, you want to think like that, right? For me, my customers have been moms between the ages of 28 and 55. And I've literally stood in their kitchen and delivered the food to them, taken their little son or daughter, put them up on the counter, explained where the fruits and veggies came from, right? That market experience is invaluable as I do this next thing. But you have to think like your customer. I'm a 36-year-old guy, right? Like I can't think like myself for work. I have to think like my customer. And the store we're doing, by the way, I forgot, it was also gonna have like craft beer and a tap room. So between great sandwiches, great beer, we'll get more people that are in their 20s, that are single and want to come in for an awesome craft double IPA and a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich or a burger. It's later. So that addresses another part of that market, and millennials will be aging into our model as opposed to people that are older that are aging out of it, which gives us long-term growth potential. And as they said in there, you do want to think of your end goal. What's your strategy? In 5 years, is someone else going to be able to do what you do better than you? Are you insulated in any way against your competition? Those are some of the things you want to think about, but also don't drive yourselves crazy, right? Like, if you have a good idea, develop it, write a business plan, get good people around you. If you're gonna get funding, try and choose someone. Angels is the way to go, right? I'm raising $5 million, okay? And the $5 million I'm going to get is probably going to come mostly from my clients, my current clients, who believe in our mission, who believe in what we're doing. And I'm not gonna go to any venture capital or private equity shops, which is where you would go to get money, and they'll say, hey, that's a great idea. I like 80% of your company, and you think you're worth 10 million? Well, you're worth 5. Because that's what happens in that world.
That's one way to do it is to have your business in Greenwich, Connecticut, arguably the wealthiest community in the
I have a client that
United
donated.
States.
I have a client that donated $40 million to my school. So now that's very unusual, right? But if my business was in Arkansas, it would be the same principle, right? Establish an idea, and then have people that want to support it. But you do it maybe $25,000, $50,000 investments instead of $500,000 investments. Yeah.
So you're talking about going to scale. How would you scale this like in the city?
So my concept is, and as you start a business, I don't think Uber ever predicted, I've used it a few times, but they'd be as big as they are. They're in 400 countries or something right now, whatever. But my goal is not to scale it to that level. My goal is to do this. Show proof of concept. Proof of concept is very important. Basically proving the concept that you've created. Does it work? Is it profitable? Is it sustainable? If I show proof of concept with one store, my goal is to build another 2 to 3 stores in the next 3 to 4 years. And then at that point, what will probably happen is this. One of those private equity shops will come along and say, hey, here's $100 million. Let's build 20 of these, okay? At that point, I will have a philosophical decision to make. Do I want to lose 80% of my company and potentially take $10 or $15 million off the table, which is where that would be? Now, by the way, nothing could happen, but that is one possible future of the business. But my goal is not to do this. You can't do this nationwide. This is not an idea that you would do across the country. You could, but there are so many things involved. My goal is to affect the local economy, the local farmers that I work with, and do this in a 20-mile radius, 25-mile radius of where I currently am. There's enough people where you don't have to go to Manhattan. You don't have to go to Los Angeles. You can do this. My goal is to have 15 or 20 stores, not 500 stores. So we're talking about not a $5 billion company, but that's never been my aspiration. I love what I'm doing. I want to do this because I feel strongly about it, but I see this as a vehicle to, there's a need in the market. And that's another really big thing when you're talking about what you guys are doing, a need. And he mentioned it, there's 5 things that are good, but is there a need for what you're doing? And be honest, right? Nah, I don't know. Maybe. I think so, definitely. Is someone else doing it, right? Are they doing it better? Why are you different? We have a lot of points of differentiation for our business, but it doesn't mean that we're going to be successful, but it means we have a good chance to be successful.
Beautiful. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's hear it from Mike Bell.